Every yard, every hit, every second. It's earned out here. This game demands more than just skill. It demands fuel. The right fuel. Because out here, it's not just about how hard you work. It's about how long you keep going. When the game gets real, drink bottle still.
Welcome into the first round of the OUA playoffs. Connor, we've got three quarterfinal matchups. We are going to get to talk to we're going to get to talk about all of them here coming up. So let's dive right in, Connor. The one we're going to highlight, Queens McMaster. These two teams faced off a long time ago, but they are much different rosters now at the tail end of the season.
Yeah, they certainly are, especially on the Mac side for me, Wade. Like, this is a team that has been on an absolute heater, and their offense has been unbelievably hot, averaging over 400 yards per game over the last 3 games, getting 3 important wins to sneak into the playoffs. And I do think that in this one, if they continue this trend of doing the right things, that they have a chance to challenge here. They've been playing some really, really good football over the last couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, and Queen's defense, Connor, certainly is going to be juiced up this weekend after that loss last week. But they're a team that's taken the ball away a lot over the course of this OUA season, so expect for them to try and get back into that category. Offensively, though, for Queens, we saw them move the ball well last week. Some struggles in the red area, but I think this Vreekin-led offense, him and Cesare are both at the tops of every stat category across the OUA. I expect them to be really sharp in this one. They had a couple drops last week. Uh, I think Russell Weir's going to have a big involvement early on. The screen game's going to get going, and it's going to open up a lot downfield for Ashby Jacobs and company to get vertical.
And Wade, I think this might sound obvious, but the counterattack for McMaster in this one, you need to get pressure to be able to force Vreekin to be uncomfortable, to force things downfield to be just a hitch or a split second out of the timing rhythm there. And they've done a good job of that this season. McMaster is the second. McMaster is second in the province in sacks this season. Done a really good job of getting to the quarterback. So I think for them, the key on defense is through the trenches and getting into Alex Vreekin's face and making him uncomfortable this weekend.
Good way to keep him uncomfortable is also keep him off the field. If they can run the ball, we haven't seen it much this year, but if they can get after it, it could be a difference maker. Connor, we'll move to the end of the 401 where the Windsor Lancers are hosting the Ottawa GGs. Second time in 3 weeks that these two teams are going to see each other. What do we expect from the Lancers that seem to have everything rolling, including this defense, which is ferocious?
Well, Wade, you touched on it right there. A defense that is absolutely ferocious. And I was just tipping my cap to McMaster for being able to create pressure. Well, how about these Windsor Lancers this season? 35 sacks to top the OUA, along with 13 interceptions. They are getting after the ball by creating this pressure on opposing quarterbacks, right? Defensively, I think they do some things really well. And we know Ottawa really likes to run the rock, right? Well, how about this Windsor Lancers defense? How about this Windsor Lancers defense? 134 rush yards per game, enough for third fewest in the OUA. And Wade, I said that Ottawa likes to run the rock, and we always love to say, it's the Charles Asselin rule. So if he does touch the ball, it could be tough for him up front against this Windsor Lancers front seven this weekend.
Yeah, expecting a big game out of Noah Avery for the GGs. I mean, everybody in Ontario knows that he is Jansen's favorite target. Robin Coolio as well has had a good season, so he's more of the deep threat to Avery, kind of grinding away yards over the middle. Connor, I think Ottawa is going into a hornet's nest here this week at the end of the 401. This Windsor team is not messing around, and they are out for blood. So that's going to be an exciting game to watch. Maybe Riley Hildebrandt will score his third touchdown in 3 weeks for the GGs. We would love to see the big man in the end zone once again.
Absolutely, Wade. And just one last thing here for the GGs. I think that they need to go back to the things that were working for them here at the start of the season. Refine that identity that got you to where you were in this point, where you're a playoff team. So they did a lot of things early in the season that I've really liked, and they've done a lot of things since then that I've really liked. But for me, I've said it week in, week out now. I think that a complete game is what I'm looking for here with the Ottawa GGs, especially having to make that long road trip down to Windsor.
The last game we're going to talk about here, the Guelph Griffins, after an exciting last week win over York to put them in the playoffs, they have found themselves traveling to the Western Mustangs, who might be a little ticked off after the way things ended against the Laurier Golden Hawks. But I expect Western is going to go back to what works. Dolby and Rancor on the ground. Connor, fun fact, Ethan Dolby leads the country in rushing touchdowns this year. Jerome Rancor is also up there with 12 of his own. So we have 26 rushing touchdowns between the backup quarterback slash H-back and the nation's leading rusher. If there was every game plan that was as clear as day for the Western Mustangs, it is get Rancor involved and get Dolby running downhill.
Absolutely, Wade. Those are the two guys that make this engine go for the Western Mustangs. But on the flip side of this one, I think the game plan here, or the blueprint, I should say, for the Guelph Griffins, Laurier kind of laid it out for them last week, didn't they? Attack through the air. These Western Mustangs are the third most passing yards against this season. And Guelph, two pretty darn good quarterbacks back there, I think, that can attack through the air, if I can say so myself there, Wade.
Yeah, and I think with Western, Connor, the biggest thing is continuity. They have had a lot of different rotations and lineups that have played for them in the back end this year. Adubafor has been there. Jackson McKay has been there, free safety. But he's a true freshman, Connor. And as good as he has played, there's been moments where you go, yeah, he's not Jackson Finley yet. And with Western, if this rotation can just get solidified, guys can get healthy enough to play, they can put guys back at comfortable spots for them. They have a really strong defense, but it has to work week in, week out, and it can't be a revolving door of guys. I expect them to really load up against Guelph and force them into the air, because if Guelph can play a balanced offensive attack, we saw what Marshall McRae has done. He has 10 rushing touchdowns on the year in his own right, and one receiving as of last week. So I think with Guelph, they want to throw the ball, but you cannot be one dimensional. Western is going to try to make them one dimensional, whether it's running the ball constantly and daring them to throw, or going the other way and loading up and saying, run the ball at us, we can handle it.
It's going to be an interesting weekend of football, Wade. I am certainly looking forward to each and every one of these playoff matchups, but I think we can wrap it up here and let the games speak for themselves as we get into Saturday's action. As always, make sure to catch these games on OUA.tv. And as we wrap it up here, drink your BioSteel. Stay hydrated using the official hydration partner of the OUA. Anything else you want to add here, Wade, before we wrap it up?
Playoff football, baby. Let's get it going. We got 3 weeks until the Yates Cup. One team is going to be left standing. We got a fun slate of games over the next 3 weeks to get us there.